Welcome back to Totally Baseless. I'm Chris Vitali, your host, where we go inside the minds and outside the lines of some great people all around the game of baseball. And I am honored today to have a friend of Ball Nines here. You may know him as the bilingual voice of the Yankees. You may know him from calling Eagles games. You may know him in Philly. I could go on for about a half hour with the intro, but let's just introduce the guy. Rickie Ricardo's with us. How's it going, Ricky?
How are you, my friend? Good to be here with you.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk to you, man. I'm in dreary Southern California right now, so I am a little jealous that you're down in Florida already.
Well, we make Orlando my permanent residence. So during football season, I'm flying wherever the Eagles are, but we got eliminated in Tampa. At least it was right down the road. The season ended for me last Monday night. So now we're waiting for pitchers and catchers to report. Although I can tell you that a bunch of the guys are already there working out at the Yankee facility in Tampa, getting ready for the official pitchers and catchers date, which is, I believe, the 16th of February. And let's get rocking and rolling to what should be a big season for the Yankees after that debacle 82 and 80 last year.
I mean, it obviously cannot be a repeat of that. You know, I mean, that's the fans would just go, they'd start a riot. But, you know, I mean, it's funny because I did want to talk a little bit about that. It should be a big season. And if you go on social media, you're going to hear everybody complaining the Yankees haven't done enough. They haven't done this. They haven't done that. Now, let's be honest here. They went out, they traded for Juan Soto. They went and they got Marcus Stroman. I know he's a polarizing figure to some, but hey, listen, as a Yankee fan, if I could start to root for Roger Clemens, I can pretty much root for almost anybody. What do you think about what the Yankees have done so far? They've made some smaller moves, bringing in Grisham, who came along with Soto and whatnot. But what do you think? How much have they improved, and what do you see happening there?
Well, I like the Alex Verdugo move to begin with. The Soto trade is obviously a game changer. When you put in a guy like Juan Soto into this lineup, it really works off of Aaron Judge. You can put them 2-3, whichever way you want to go in the batting order. But it brings another element to filling up that ballpark and bringing back positive energy. And to bring probably the biggest Dominican superstar in Major League Baseball right now, right into the Bronx, right over the bridge from Upper Manhattan, which is such a big base of the Dominican fan base. It's really a huge percentage of my radio and TV audience on my Yankees and Espanol. The vibe is back like I haven't felt it for the last few years. Now, having said all that, have they done enough? I think maybe Brian Cashman might have one more move left up his sleeve, maybe another bullpen arm. If Blake Snell's price does not come down significantly, and I don't think Jordan Montgomery is interested in coming here. It's my gut feeling is that Monty is not going to come back to the Bronx. But Blake Snell might be the one guy, if his price tag and his demands start to come down a little bit, then maybe there could be a meeting of the minds to get Blake Snell into pinstripes. I think that's a long shot. So assuming they did nothing else, if they get some guys back that were injured last year, if they can get Nestor Cortez and Carlos Rodon to be themselves and have, 90% of the success that they had before, then I think this team has enough to get back into the race in the American League East. Because honestly, Chris, I don't see the Orioles, although that's a very young team and it's pointing north, I kind of sense the Orioles didn't do anything to reinforce what they accomplished this past season, I should say. I don't really see the Red Sox making enough moves to really challenge. Toronto is that kind of team that it's always almost ready to go over that line. It gets right to the cliff, but it doesn't go over. So I'm not sure about the Blue Jays. They made Ohtani such a priority for them in the free agent market. And it feels like that when they didn't get Shohei, that their whole plan fell apart. That's just, from an outside view of this thing, they really didn't have a plan B to reinforce what they did last year. So, and the Tampa Bay Rays, look, they're always going to be good. I love Kevin Cash. I love the way the organization works. But from their moves this winter, Glass now being traded, the Wander Franco thing is still a dark cloud hanging over that organization.
Oh,
So
sure.
I expect them maybe to take a step back also. So within the division, I don't see anyone else that made a major move to go forward. The biggest move in the division is Juan Soto to the Yankees. And I think it should be enough with some of the tinkering and Stroman to get the Yankees back up into, let's say, a deep September battle with more than likely the Orioles and the Tampa Bay Rays.
See, now I totally agree. And that's actually something I wanted to talk about is the rest of the division. I mean, they really didn't do much. I mean, to your point about Baltimore, Ricky, really the only addition they made was Kimbrel.
Mhm.
I guess that's good because Felix Bautista is going to be on the shelf for the year. So, okay, they get a guy to come in as a closer, but I think he's also a step down from Bautista. Um, but just everything you said, Toronto. I mean, yes, they put all of their eggs in one basket trying to get Ohtani, and what do they wind up with? They re-signed Kiermaier and
IKF, yeah.
yeah. So but I mean, Matt Chapman, he turned down their qualifying offer, so they didn't really do a ton. If they expected Ohtani to be their savior this year, I mean, I don't think you're getting that out of Kiermaier and IKF. They're solid players, but again, and as you said, the Rays, they also lost McClanahan for the year with Tommy
Right.
John surgery, so he's not there. And Boston, what did they do? I mean, Lucas Giolito, yippee. So, I mean, I really do not see a finish like last year for the Yankees. I mean, this kind of is their division to lose this year. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's just the way I'm seeing it. Nobody else got better in the division. Matter of fact, most of them got worse.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I mean. I think everybody either stayed put or took a step back, and probably more toward taking a step back. So I think that the Soto deal, the Verdugo move, let's not downplay that. I think Alex Verdugo is going to play out very, very well in the Bronx. I think they've done enough. If nothing else, the law of averages has got to help this team as far as the injuries are concerned, for Pete's sake. Can Giancarlo Stanton, come back, even if it's 50% of what he used to be. If he could just take a positive step forward and help this thing. This is a very, very deep lineup. But you've got guys like LeMahieu and Stanton that have underperformed the last 2 years that I think still have one really solid year still in them. How Aaron Boone works that infield. Gleyber Torres, is he a trade piece still for a major pitcher, whether now or at the deadline? You still have guys like Peraza. There's some young kids there that need a place to play. So that's why my gut tells me that Brian Cashman might still have one more move left in him before, we break camp and head north to the Bronx. But I would agree with you that because the division really kind of stood pat, or in essence took maybe a step backwards, that I think what the Yankees have done, although not a complete product, I think is enough to get them back into maybe being the favorites for the division.
And, it's funny you bring up Stanton and actually who's already down in Tampa ahead of pitchers and catchers reporting. And I know Rodana's down there and he's trimmed down. I mean, I don't think there's any way he was healthy last year. I just, his body of work, I'm a firm believer that you are going to eventually pitch or hit, to the back of your baseball card, the old adage.
Sure.
Rodon obviously did not do that last year, but I just cannot imagine that he was healthy. And I think him coming back, he's in shape. I think he's got that little bit of bulldog in him. I think he's going to come in. He's going to throw it to chip on his shoulder. And I really do. I really think that he's going to be in for a good year. I know Stanton has slimmed down a little bit. Maybe he's changed a little bit about the way he's training. I'm curious to see it. I'm very curious to see it.
Health is the key. Obviously,
Isn't
last
it
year,
always?
Yeah, Judge's injury at Dodger Stadium, was really the straw that broke the camel's back. The team had a bunch of injuries in the pitching staff, in the bullpen. How many guys in the bullpen? They might not be the biggest, flashiest names, but the Lou Treviños of the world and the Scott Efroses of the world, you
Sure.
lose a bunch of those guys. That's a lot of depth coming out of your bullpen. So the real big piece obviously was losing Judgy for as long as they did. They fell into such a hole that they really didn't have enough time to recover from it, and ended up at 82 and 80. But we'll see. Nestor Cortez is another big piece. The one thing that does concern me is depth at starting pitching. A lot of the young arms that were brought
Yeah.
up last year, Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito, they all went to San Diego along with Michael King in the deal to bring Juan Soto. So now you're talking about, a Beater and names like that being your sixth, seventh, eighth starters. You know as well as I do, 5 starters for an entire season. There's no way. You go through a full season, you probably need more like 8 to 9 dependable starters, if not into double digits. So I don't know. I'll have to see up close about the depth in starting pitching that's in the minor leagues. That's why I am hoping that Brian Cashman, as savvy as he is, and in a year where they're putting all the chips in the middle of the table, believe you me, they want to win this year because the Soto future is uncertain unless they re-sign him at some point, and that'll probably be after the season. But we're going to break camp with a 1-year rental, basically, of Juan Soto. All the chips are in the middle of the table. They want to win now. Hal Steinbrenner was not happy with what happened last year. So that's why I'm confident that Cashman's got one more move in him, at least one more.
Absolutely hope that you are correct about that. And obviously, health is the key, especially with this team. And, it has been for the last bunch of years. And I'm starting to wonder if I might be kind of like the little, I might be putting the horns on Aaron Judge, because last year was the second time that I was going to a game in California, and I get tickets around right field to kind of go see Judge play, and it's the second time that the day before he got injured. So the first time I got stuck sitting right behind Mike Talkman. Maybe I just won't buy any tickets for right field anymore. I'll just sit down on the third base line. Now, speaking of spring training, are you going to be down there doing games in Tampa this year?
I have done for the past few years. I've done some for WFAN. I've done some for Yankees.com that haven't been on the radio. I still haven't been given an assignment just yet. That I've got some meetings coming up in early February, so we'll be able to announce something at some point. Now, we don't do any of the Spanish broadcasts in spring training. So spring training, I've always done some of the English stuff. I know, John Sterling's at the point in his career where his travel is a little bit limited. So whatever the organization wants me to do while I'm a good 45 to 50-minute drive to Steinbrenner Field here from my home in Florida. And in the regular season, it all depends. When a guy like John Sterling with his kind of clout, when he announces he's going to do this many games and he'll take this trip off, then we'll work at it from there. But you've got Justin Shackle joined the broadcast crew last year, did a wonderful job also. And I filled in a few games on the Tampa trips to come back and be, close to home. So we'll get it all worked out sooner than later. But I'm looking forward to just being back in the postseason with the Yankees. The strangest thing to me, and this is my 11th year now with the organization. And with Odyssey, prior to that, CBS that had the rights. But last year, to be able to say October 1st, and that particular day, I did an Eagles game because the Yankees had already been eliminated. So one of those conflicts, that scheduling conflicts, baseball season was really over about 10 days before that, officially eliminated about a week before that. So to be able to say I didn't do a game in the month of October was very foreign to me. So I am hoping, beyond hope, that the Yankees can get back into serious October baseball, to see the bunting, to see Yankee Stadium dressed up as it is always traditionally in the month of October for postseason baseball, and get this team back where it belongs, in prime time against the big time opponents, where the lights shine the brightest, and hopefully down the line, a dream series of Yankees, Dodgers, have Shohei Ohtani in Yankee Stadium. That would be, I think Rob Manfred would sign up for that right now. And so would I.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
I
so
would
would
too. I mean,
you.
I think
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, believe me, Fox would love it too. My goodness,
absolutely.
it's the greatest show on earth, right there. But oddly, and I just want to, I have to ask this because I'm sure a lot of our listeners, they've read the story, but you did mention Sterling and travel, and there's a little story involving you and John Sterling trying to get home after, right?
Well, that was a hurricane.
Well, there was a hurricane and he got stuck in a flood or something, correct? And you came to
Yes.
the rescue and you basically, okay, can you actually tell that story? Because I think it would be better if, our listeners heard it from you yourself.
Well, what happened was, and this was, if I'm not mistaken, going back to September 1st of 21. And the name of the hurricane escapes me, but it was the remnants of a hurricane that was coming up the East Coast. But the strange part about it is we were still doing all remote broadcasts. We had not yet gone back on the road. Remember, after COVID, the 60-game 2020 season and the 2021 season completely, we did every game remotely. So what would happen when the Yankees were on the road, and that particular night they were in Anaheim, but it was a 4:00 start in Anaheim, so it was a 7 p.m. start in New York. Now, I kid you not, when I got to the ballpark, and John more or less and Michael Kay was on the TV side, John on the English side, and I'm right next to John, just a few feet away on the Yankee Spanish booth. But we got to the ballpark, I guess about 4:30, 5 o'clock to prepare for the 7:05 first pitch, 6:30 pregame on both sides. I swear to you, there was not one drop of rain, not one drop had come down yet, okay? At first pitch, it started to get really cloudy around 7 o'clock. By 7:15, 7:20, it was pouring. But who would have thunk it? That it would pour to the extent where the major highways in New York City, like the Major Deegan Expressway and the West Side Highway, were all flooded out. They were closed and flooded. When I got to, let me take you back. We finished the game. The game is over. Must have been about, I don't know, maybe let's say 9:45, 2-hour, 45-minute game. Pretty quick, I remember that. So as the last pitch, finished, the game is over, last pitch, we all three of us sort of kind of rendezvoused in the men's room behind the booths, Michael, Kay, John, and myself. Michael says to John, I'm hearing the roads are really bad, because nobody really kept up with what was going on because we're all doing a game. So now the game's over. We're getting the first news of just how bad this storm that has hit in the last, basically 3 hours, how bad it is. So Michael says to John, you may want to leave as soon as possible because it's only going to get worse. Now, John doesn't do his own post game. At that point, I believe it was still Sweeney Murdy. Michael doesn't do his own post game. They go back to the Yes Studios. I, on the other hand, do my own post game. So Michael left, John left in his car. About 30 minutes later, after I had finished my post-game show, I get into my car. Now, we live in Jersey. John and I live in Jersey. We take the same route home. Michael Kay lives in Connecticut. He never made it past Fordham University. It was that bad. He had to spend the night at his alma mater at Fordham University because he couldn't drive. The highways were flooded out to get to Connecticut where he lives. So I get into the car in the garage. And one of the police officers that guards the garage said to me, there is no way that you're going to get to the GW Bridge either by the Deegan or the West Side Highway. You're going to have to go very slowly on local streets. Those are the only ways that you can get to the bridge. Ooh. Now, Susan Waldman, on the other hand, was doing her part of the broadcast from her house. They had set up a thing for her with the Comrex that would give her the signal. So she was doing her part of the English radio broadcast from her home up in, north of the stadium. She calls me when I'm driving on some of the local, I was on Broadway and 70th Street, and I get a call from Susan asking me where I am. I said, "Well, I'm trying to navigate my way over the bridge." She says, "Well, John just called me. He's stuck on River Road in a huge flood on the other side of the George Washington Bridge. I know that you take the same route home. Is there any way you can help him out?" I said, "Absolutely. But first I've got to get over the bridge. I'm trying to find a way to get to New Jersey."
Yeah.
So I finally find one route. There was one street open to get me to the George Washington Bridge. All this time I'm doing 10, 15, 20 miles an hour. It's pure water. Now I've got a Jeep, a Cherokee, which is pretty high enough anyway to get me through. So I called John, and I'm calling John, and he doesn't answer. He finally answered about the fifth time that I tried. I said, "John, where are you?" He says, "I'm on River Road right by the marina." Now, for those that don't know, where he got stuck, it is right by a marina off the Hudson River, and it's at the bottom of a hill. So a lot of the water from upper Fort Lee is going down the street, and it's all landing together at the bottom of this hill where John is stuck in about, believe it or not, 5 to 6 feet of water.
Oh.
So I very slowly come over the Washington Bridge. I get on River Road, and I'm slowly approaching him. And I see from a distance there's one car. I said, "John, where?" There's 20 cars just strewn all over the place. People left their cars there and walked away. The water was that high. I tell you what, Chris, when I got close, poor John was sitting behind the steering wheel, hands on the wheel, and had no idea if I don't show up. And he had called 911, the police couldn't get to him. So I got close to John. I pull up my passenger door to his driver door to try to just open up as much as we can, get him out of his driver's side door into my passenger seat and continue the journey. But there was one problem. This is the best part of the story. I look behind me, and here comes a Coca-Cola delivery truck. You've seen the big delivery trucks, plowing through the water. And he's going, 30, 40 miles an hour. He doesn't realize he's about to cause a tsunami here. So John opens the door. I said, no, close the door. The truck comes. I mean, the wave, the water wave that the truck caused, both our cars were swaying like this. It was unbelievable. Finally, as the water settles, it took about 5 minutes for the water to settle again after the truck plowed through the water.
Yeah.
I made able to get John out of and I said, bring everything you got that you need from the car. You may not see this car again. It's a lease anyway. So he grabbed all his paperwork, grabbed everything he needed. I got him out of the driver's door of his car, transferred him into my passenger seat. It was water all over the place. I've got the WeatherTech floor liners. Plus my truck takes a beating. I got him into the car, and then once I got him into my Jeep, I couldn't go forward. Too much water. I had to go backwards, back up the hill, and then try to navigate a way to get back down to River Road because his building is down on River Road. I live up the hill. Well, it took us what usually takes no more than 7 to 8 minutes with the help of some Fort Lee and Cliffside Park police officers here and there and Edgewater police officers. Yeah. It took us 1 hour and 7 minutes against traffic in lanes that, I'm going opposite of what it's supposed to be. There's nobody else out on the road. But about an hour later, I finally got John to his front door, got him into his building safe and sound, and we lived happily ever after. And it took me a good 40 minutes. I lived 5 minutes from John. Took me another half hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had to get back up the hill.
And back up the hill. So.
Man, talk about an adventure.
The funny thing is, that was a Wednesday. The next day, that Thursday, remember the Yankees had they're flying back from Anaheim, off day, and then weekend series. So I had booked a 6 a.m. flight on Thursday morning on my off day to come fly to Florida for the day. I had some business to tend to here at my home. So while I am trying to navigate the streets and the floods, I'm on the phone with United Airlines, who's already canceled my 6 a.m. flight, and they've got me on hold to try to get me on a 7 o'clock. Well, long story short, all the flights were canceled. I never went anywhere.
I'm sure.
John never saw that car again. It got towed, and the leasing company came and took it, and then they brought him another one and the whole thing. But we both lived to talk about it. It's amazing how much rain came down in a matter, and it kept raining all night. But for that particular moment, we're talking about, it must have been, by the time I got to John, it must have been near 11. It didn't stop raining until the next day at around noon. But the amount of rain that came down to cause that kind of a flood was incredible. It was, like you say, the remnants of a hurricane.
Yeah, no, I believe it. And I mean, I know that area myself. So, I mean, I know exactly where you're talking about. And I've seen it flooded in the past from just a regular rain.
It floods out a regular rain, just a regular shower.
Yeah, just regular rain. Yeah. And so, oof. But look, it makes for one hell of a story. So,
well, for those that don't know, River Road and Route 5, where Route 5 and River Road meet at the marina, Edgewater Marina across the street, right in the middle. The funny thing is, I said, John, where are you? He said, I'm next to the Chinese restaurant. I said, John, there's 15 Chinese restaurants on River Road.
That's true. That's true.
I had no idea. There's a lot of little pieces to that story, which are just really, you look back on it, they're hilarious.
Today we're recording this. It's Monday evening. So tomorrow, when the show will be released, the Hall of Fame ballot will be out and the inductees will be named. So I wanted to just ask really quickly, it's a pretty good ballot this year. So any predictions that you might have on who's getting in, who might get screwed?
Well, I think the locks are probably Beltre, Mauer, and Helton. The could go either way, Billy Wagner. The one guy that I really hope, and the last time I checked, you got all these meters, so many votes are in, and so and so is at this percentage. But the guy that I'm really hoping that can get over the 75%, and I'm not sure he'll be able to do it in his final year on the ballot, is Gary Sheffield. I think he is very unjustly been held in a light where I don't think he belongs. And I really, when you look at the numbers and you look at everything he did, I heard something today. I mean, he had 300 more walks, than he had strikeouts in his career. I mean, there's some really, really impressive numbers that Gary Sheffield put up. A baseball lifer. So I really, really hope that he can get over. If not, then at some point, hopefully that committee will get him in at some point. But the other one is Andrew Jones. Andrew Jones, I have never, and I'm 60 years of age. I've watched a lot of baseball, and I have never seen a more elegant center fielder, and that's the word I use, elegant center fielder than Andrew Jones. I mean, I've watched Devon White, I've watched Kiermaier, the tail end of Willie Mays and Cesar Geronimo, and a lot of great center fielders, but none of them had the simplicity of getting to a ball and just putting the glove right there and making the play like Andrew Jones. And I remember when he was 19 years old in that 1995 World Series when he was hitting home runs off of Andy Pettitte at Yankee Stadium, and everybody was shocked. Who is this, this teenager still hitting the ball all over the ballpark and such a good outfielder? So, but I think he's got a couple more years left of eligibility, does Andrew, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he does.
But the guys that are teetering on the brink, Billy Wagner and Gary Sheffield, Wags. That's a tough one for me on Wagner to go. The guy that really pulls at my heartstrings is Sheffield. The guy that surprises me that he's gotten such low numbers is Jimmy Rollins. Jimmy Rollins and Barry Larkin are almost neck and neck in a lot of major categories with an MVP. I just believe that Jimmy's first year on the ballot was Derek Jeter's first year on the ballot. And to come into the voting at the same time as Jeter sets the standard so high that Jimmy's never going to live up to that. And I think that's going to hold him back. And the other guy that I covered for my first 8 years on the radio, doing baseball on the radio, was Chase Utley. Last time I checked, he was only at about 40% too. So, I don't know if either one of those guys over time is going to get up high enough. Ryan Howard was part of that threesome, and he's already gone from the ballot. So, I know. But the one that really, it's a head scratcher to me is why Jimmy Rollins doesn't get more consideration.
At the end of these, I like to kind of start the pitch clock on the guest, and I like to ask. I'm going to throw a few cities at you, and your favorite post-game meal. For some ungodly reason, people love this, so I'm going to hit you with it. All right, here we go. We're going to start nice and easy here. We'll start with Philadelphia.
Philadelphia post-game. I go straight to Tony Luke's. Either that or that's Gino's. I'm a cheesesteak guy, so I go for it.
As well, you should be. I mean, they don't bring that to the stadium for you guys.
The best cheesesteak at the ballpark is in the visitors clubhouse, and we don't get to eat that. We don't have access to that. So when I leave in Philadelphia, and I just go straight to one of my 3 favorite cheesesteak spots.
All right, well, that's fair. Okay, next up, we're going to go with the Bronx.
Oh, El Floridita. Okay, we're talking for Spanish cuisine, but with the chicken on, the roasted chicken with the black beans and the rice and the atmosphere, the music, an adult beverage, and Floridita.
Oh, okay, this sounds wonderful. Okay, next up, Tampa.
Burns. If it's open, got to get the Burns.
The steakhouse?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. God, it's so good. That's a great choice. That's a great choice. So now I'm going to throw a couple football towns at you really quickly.
All right.
How about Dallas?
Papados. Yep. Matter of fact, we were just there a few weeks ago for after the Eagles Cowboys game. Papados was open late night. Great steak.
Oh man, there's seafood, the whole thing. That's a good choice too. And last but not least, let's go where the AFC Championship's going to be. How about Baltimore?
John Sterling's favorite restaurant. And all I do in Baltimore is follow John. John's the king of Baltimore. Remember, he started his career back with the Baltimore Bullets. We go to a place called the Prime Rib in Baltimore.
Ooh.
The Prime Rib. Been there for ages.
I have a feeling I know what goes on there. So that already sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to say thank you to the one and only Rickie Ricardo. He's the man. He's a friend of ours, and we love talking baseball and everything with him, and food now too. But I am Chris Vitali, and Rickie, thanks again.
Thanks, Chris. Everybody at Ball 9, you guys are the best at what you do. You preserve the greatness of this game in a very unique way, and I love it.
Oh, man. Well, thank you. That means a lot to me, man. Thank you very much, and good luck this season. I will speak with you soon, and this has been Totally Baseless. We'll catch you next time. Adios.